Our scripture this morning from the prophet Isaiah, or Jeremiah, excuse me. Chapter 29, verses 11 through 13. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. And this is the word of God. First of all, thanks for Pastor Appreciation Sunday. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I know about the stresses and the high burnout rate. I know that's why our church has started Pastor Appreciation Day. And, you know, any good reason to have a meal and break bread with your people is an awesome thing to do. And I appreciate you appreciating me. So kind of like Eeyore, thanks for noticing. But I also feel guilty, for being appreciated for just doing what I, feel is fulfilling the call of God in my life. I appreciate y'all for letting me have that opportunity. So for Pastor Appreciation Day, since it's all about me, I thought I would talk about something that I am an expert on, and that's me. I am the reigning expert on me, right? And that just tells you that I don't have a therapist. Not that I don't need one, but I don't have one. So I'm the only one, short of Kimberly, who knows everything about me. And seriously, I don't like focusing on me, and I'm doing this for two reasons. First of all, my family really gets upset when I use them for sermon illustrations. And, I do that as often as I can if it fits. But also, we talk about, in the ministry, the importance of sharing our personal testimony. And it's really hard for people to share their faith and share their journey and share their testimony. So I'm doing this kind of as example. So when we talk about me, the sad thing is I still have to have notes. And that's probably something reflective about me as well. But really, I never really planned on going into the ministry. Back as a high school student, when I was pondering that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they never tell you that you don't ever grow up. But ministry wasn't in there. Church really wasn't a big part of my life growing up. But art was. I like to draw. My mom said that as far back as she can remember, as soon as I could hold a pencil or a crayon, I was drawing. And so God blessed me with the ability to draw anything I could see, and I liked doing. I did. That's all I ever did. And that was before I had ADD. But back then, that's all I did was draw. But I mean, when you think about career opportunities, what are you going to do? Do you want to be that starving artist? You want to be an art teacher and teach a bunch of obnoxious kids about complementary colors and vanishing points year after year for 30 or 40? Do you really want to do that? Obviously, I didn't. But I also liked math and science. And so I thought, well, engineering, that'd be an awesome field to go into, and I had a plan. I was going to be an engineer. It was a good plan because it combined the things I liked and things that I was good at in a field where there was a high demand at that point in time. So I had a skill set, and I had a passion, and there was job availability. So I had a plan, and I was working towards it. I was taking as much math as I could in school, and I was taking mechanical drawing. And my junior year, when I went to Richlands, I had an art teacher. She just loved me. And I was in the most advanced art class you could take as a junior. So she started Art 4 just for me and about 2 other people so we could have art. And our senior year, a recruiter from the Art Institute came. And this recruiter was targeting juniors, for a scholarship opportunity. And Miss Garland said, you got to see this guy. You got to see this guy's work. So he started talking about commercial graphics, and you can make good money, doing magazine ads and television ads and illustrating. Wait a minute. That sounds like a good plan because, I learned a lot of the things that inspired me to draw were comic books and stuff. The opportunity to be an illustrator, And so I changed my plan. and I started majoring in commercial graphics. And the recruiter didn't tell me that illustration was a really hard field to get into, and that most graphic artists spend more time setting type in dark rooms than they ever do illustrating. And that's okay if that's what you like to do, but I didn't like doing that. And I found I could make more money in the textile industries and the furniture industries in North Carolina back in that day than you ever could make setting type. And I'd been on my own since I was 17, and I had bills to pay, and so I quit college and I went to work. And that's how I ended up on the railroad. And that's kind of when I got back into the church and rededicated my life to God and was the youth pastor there at the church and started teaching Sunday school. And all these people would come up and say, "You're going to be a great minister one day." And this was a revelation to me. Not to me personally, but to the church. This was the first time that I realized the church is a bunch of broken people. And because at that day, you couldn't get me to say blessing over a meal, much less stand up here and do what I do now. Then my minister, who actually did our wedding, later became my mentor. He told me about a small church that couldn't afford a full-time minister, just wanted someone to go over there and preach every Sunday, And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And so I went and met the moderator, and he was in the hayfield on his tractor. And just a little this community did not even have a convenience store. I mean, it's how out of the way it was. And long story short, I went there and I preached. My first sermon was 10 minutes long, Daryl. I didn't have that much to say back then. Obviously, they invited me back. And I stayed there for a long time. But during that time, I decided, I felt bad about quitting college, and the railroad has tuition assistance. And I thought, I'd at least finish my degree. And so I was taking a liberal arts degree. The local college in Bluefield, which is a Baptist college, they started this Bachelor of Christian Ministry program. They saw it as their calling, as their mission, as a religious institution, to train. It was kind of a pre-seminary program. And so I got accepted into that, and I went through that, and I graduated. And then local church there in Bluefield, well, they were looking for a full-time minister. And we talked, and we interviewed, and y'all know the process, and we prayed about it. And I decided to accept that call, to leave the railroad and go to work. And that's when I realized it was really not me going into the ministry. I just kept finding churches that were desperate, and they were hiring. So I had a plan. This was like November. I was going to finish out the year. I was going to take all my vacation in January and just never come back. Ha! Surprise. It was a good plan, 1 week before Christmas, I got laid off. Got a call from my boss. You're laid off. Listen, God's got this plan too, right? I don't have to quit. Of course, being laid off wasn't the best thing. Seemed like God was behind it. And then 1 month later, I found out I was getting divorced. It was a good thing, but even when it's good, it's bad. I met Kim, but it was tough. Wiped me out financially. You know why divorce is so expensive, don't you? It's worth it. You get what you pay for. But it wiped me out financially. I mean, it really did. So I was taking seminary courses back then. I dropped out of seminary. We were struggling. It was a good church, but the church was struggling. And so the railroad offered me my job back. And it was a hard decision, But a lot of things to figure. It's one of the hardest parts of my life. And resigned from the church and went back to the railroad. And like I said, it's hard times, not happy times. For one of the first times in my life, I did not have a plan. Didn't know if I wanted a plan. I mean, I didn't know if I failed God. I didn't know if God failed me. Then I got a call from Little Valley, same church I started at. Needed a preacher again. I thought, you people just straighten up. So I went back there and stayed there for 8 years. And realized that, here's the need, here's the niche. I call it a Pauline ministry. You know, Paul, wherever he went, he provided his own needs, and he just served where he could. And I realize there's such a need because these churches can't afford full-time ministers. They just get whoever. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, you know. And I've seen the effects of both. And I thought, you know, this maybe is my niche. And so I had a plan. I was going to work my way up through the organization. Dropped out of seminary, but I finished my master's in business and went into management. And I did that because in the railroad, management gives you a supplemental pension. And on the railroad, with that pension, you can't retire at a reduced pension at the age of 55. And so I was going to do that. I was going to put up with it till I had my 30 years in, which would have been 56. And I was going to retire, take that reduced pension, find me some little church, you know. It was a good plan. Finish out my career, preach wherever I was needed. And during that time, man, they moved me from Winston-Salem to Portsmouth, Ohio, to Bluefield, Williamson 3 times, Atlanta, Georgia. During that time, you know, never missed a Sunday preaching that I didn't take off for vacation. And so I came back to Williamson, and that's how I ended up here. Came to Vespers, because everywhere I went, I tried to connect to a local disciples church, you know. A lot of churches don't have Wednesday evening services, but y'all did. I found you on the internet, and I came here, and June was the first person I met. And I came in and said, you know, I'm a disciples minister working in Williamson, and she said, oh, good, we're looking for a preacher. I said, well, God bless you, I'm not looking for a church. I have a church, and I have a plan. And June started marketing the church. Gave me a tour the first night. Yeah. I had a plan, though. 4 more years, I start drawing that pension and continue serving these small churches. It's a good plan. The overriding question was it God's plan? I always considered a call from a church a call from God. Like I said, I never went looking for this. Churches just kept coming to me. So I figured a call from a church is a call from God, and so we talked, and we talked, and I think we know how the story ended. I had a plan, but God had another plan. And the point is, if you want to be successful, you have to have a plan. You have to have something to strive for, something to work towards. But I also tell you, you'll never know failure until you have a plan. You never know you missed the mark until you set a mark on the wall. If you don't have a plan, you never know the goals you will not attain. And I have had so many plans in my life. I have probably quit as many things as I have ever started. I have had as many failures, perhaps more, than I have ever had successes. And although my plans have changed, my God has not. The question is, how do you measure success and fulfillment and purpose and meaning? Now, most people measure success in how much money they make, or how big their house is, or what kind of a car they can drive. And ever since I've been even working with youth or speaking at college, you know, I tell people, you know, there's different ways to measure success. And we can see it time and time again, these people who seem to have it all. And yet they're not happy. Norfolk Southern was a Fortune 3, or still is, I guess, a Fortune 300 company. You know what that means? Well, top 300 companies in the world as far as success. Stable career. I had a company vehicle, company computer, company credit card, company cell phone, and the company had me. I had stock options, and I had 401ks and annual bonuses and guaranteed pay raises and all that good stuff. And believe me, some people would say I would have been better off financially or had more success if I'd have stayed there those 4 more years. But to me, they would have been wasted. Because I believe this is God's plan. So, what is your plan? What do you want to do or be when you grow up, if you ever do? What is your plan for today and the day after? Maybe you don't have a plan. But my Bible tells me God has a plan for you. A plan for your prosperity, and a plan for your success, and a plan for your well-being. And if you want to find true meaning and true purpose, true happiness and true success, find that plan and follow it. Let's turn to our hymn of discipleship. 545. Let's just do the first verse. I know we're all hungry, I'll bless the meal before we left. Think about God's plan for you. Think about purpose and think about meaning and what is most important to you. God has a plan for you that begins with one step. Let's stand and sing 545 and leave.